thank you for coming out today. What a beautiful day is here in Revelstoke to make such an important announcement of the BC government regarding safety and mobility of Trans-Canada Highway. My name is Greg Kylo. I'm the MLA for Shuswap, and I couldn't be happier to be here today and MC today's event. I'd like to start with a warm welcome to our speaking guests with Minister Todd Stone, our Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure, the Mayor of Revelstoke, Mr. Mark McKee, the Mayor of Golden, Mr. Ron Ozust, and Sergeant Rob Haney, the Unit Commander for the Trans-Canada Highway East Traffic Services. To start things off today, I'd like to introduce and invite Minister Stone to the podium. Todd.
Thanks, Greg. Well, thank you very much, Greg. I appreciate the introduction and really appreciate that you were able to take some time out of your busy schedule to be here for this very important announcement. And I want to also acknowledge and thank the mayors who are here today, Mayor Mark McKee and Mayor Ron Ozust. Would like to thank Sergeant Rob Haney for being here. And I also want to mention our CVSE officers with us today as well. These are men and women who risk their lives each and every day to keep our highways safe. And their efforts often go unheralded. But if it were not for their efforts, we would not be able to travel with as much confidence and feel as safe as we do. So thank you so much for being here today, and please pass our regards on to all of your colleagues for the outstanding job that you do each and every day to keep our highways safe. British Columbians rely on our transportation network every day. They rely on this network to get to school, to get to work, to stay connected with each other, to get their goods to market. Earlier this spring, I launched the province's new 10-year transportation plan called BC on the Move. Now, this plan, it's a very exciting opportunity actually to pull it together, because this plan actually will be our roadmap for a decade's worth of transportation investments in every corner of British Columbia and every facet of transportation. And having a 10-year plan is indeed important for all British Columbians. Now, public input on BC on the Move was very extensive. In fact, no transportation planning project has received nearly as much engagement from the public as BC on the Move did. We actually received almost 13,000 written submissions from British Columbians. We met with hundreds of organizations, and I even held a Twitter town hall meeting, which I was quite skeptical about. But in the hour and a bit of that Twitter town hall, we received 180 unique suggestions about transportation priorities from folks in communities across this great province of ours. I also visited with the Mayor of Revelstoke, and it's a pleasure to also meet with me today, the Mayor of Golden. I think I've been to Revelstoke, I think this is my third visit since being minister, and I was also pleased to welcome Mark and a few others to Victoria not that long ago, where we talked about a number of safety and mobility concerns related to the Trans-Canada Highway. It's very important that we continue to do all that we can to four-lane as fast as possible. I think we all agree that continued four-laning is the ideal solution to improving and continuing to improve safety on the Trans-Canada Highway. But understanding that that work is a work in progress, and investments will continue to be made in the years ahead, there's a wide range of other initiatives that also need to be pursued that will enhance safety on this important trading route. And let's remember that the Trans-Canada Highway is indeed the most important east-west highway connector in British Columbia. It's the highway that connects this province to the rest of the country. It's truly a vital link to Canada's Pacific Gateway. $2 billion of trade moves through this corridor on an annual basis. And in the peak summer months, about 12,000 vehicles travel through this corridor, 2,000 of which are commercial trucks. Which is what that brings us here today, to announce a few important steps that we're taking to enhance safety and mobility on this important highway corridor. Now, we heard loud and clear that improvements were needed at Three Valley Gap to shorten the duration of closures in the winter due to high avalanche risks. So not that long ago, I traveled again, as I mentioned a moment ago, to Revelstoke. I believe it was in early February, and I met with the mayors, and I heard their concerns with the delays along Highway 1. While I was here, I did a helicopter tour. I got up in the air with ministry avalanche technicians, again, more men and women in the ministry that risk their lives to keep us safe. And we took an aerial view of the Three Valley Gap area. Now, Highway 1 travels through some of BC's most challenging avalanche terrain. In an average year, the highway can be closed for nearly 200 hours. Now, during high snow years, this can increase to nearly 400 hours. And I don't need to spend much more time, I think, talking about the impacts of highway closures on a community like Revelstoke, which really is at the epicenter of closures when they take place. Those closures also have huge impacts on Golden and Sicamous, just west of here. Now, during avalanche season, our current technology, which involves helicopters and dropping explosives, can be very effective, but it can only be done during daylight and when the conditions are safe and when weather allows it. Many times this means long closures. We had closures this last season of 16 plus hours, which frankly in today's day and age is unacceptable. So we want to shorten the time that people are stuck in their vehicles and delayed in their travels during a road closure. We want to open up the highway more quickly to get vehicles and goods moving again. And this is part of the commitment that we've made in BC on the Move, our 10-year transportation plan, to deliver projects to improve highway reliability with a specific focus on improving avalanche infrastructure. And that's why I'm pleased to announce here this morning that we're going to be bringing new avalanche mitigation systems to Three Valley Gap. Now, these new systems will use remote control devices. Now, the devices will be used by trained avalanche technicians to remotely trigger the avalanches. And they will not be dependent on good weather conditions or daylight to operate. These new systems can be operated anytime, day or night, when the traffic is lower and delays won't have the same impact. There will still be short closures required to remotely trigger an avalanche and to clean it up. But again, this system will significantly cut down the duration of closures when they do take place. This new avalanche mitigation system is currently in the planning stage. We are issuing an expression of interest to seek avalanche engineering experts to assist us in finding the most effective technology for this particular and unique set of avalanche paths that we have in and around the Revelstoke area. We expect to marry this technical expertise through this expressions of interest with expertise that we have at the present time in the ministry, and to install these new devices in the winter for the winter of 2016. Now, to give you an idea of what might be used at this location, I'd like to show you some pictures of similar technology used by our ministry at other parts of the province. So maybe Greg, you could unveil this right here. Now, this poster board shows the types of technology that we're currently looking at. We currently use technology like this at the Laurie avalanche site east of Revelstoke. There's also a similar system that's used in the Pemberton area as well as in the Kootenay Pass. This type of technology has proven to be extremely effective in triggering avalanches, stabilizing snowpacks, and as a result of all of that, keeping our highways safe and open for travelers. In the Kootenay Pass, for example, using the remote control explosive devices, a typical road closure is only in the 2 to 4 hour range, which is obviously much shorter than those 16-hour closures that I spoke about a moment ago. The long duration of highway closures in the Revelstoke area has been a concern of city councils and local citizens for decades. And you have told us that this is a problem, and so we're pleased that today we are here to tell you we've heard you, and we're now acting on this. This new avalanche mitigation system will benefit the communities of Revelstoke and Golden, but will also benefit those thousands of travelers who move between your two communities each and every year. Now, the second item that I'm pleased to discuss today is that after a lot of discussion with the communities of Golden and Revelstoke, we also heard loud and clear that it's important to help get the traffic moving more efficiently through your communities when there are closures. And so the ministry has just recently completed the installation of new traffic light signal timing systems called Automax. These systems have been installed in both Revelstoke and Golden. If an intersection gets a long lineup of vehicles, these new Automax systems will detect those long lineups. It detects those lineups using loops that have been installed in the pavement. Through Automax, the traffic signal timing will be adjusted automatically to relieve congestion by increasing the time that the light is green. This will help move the flow of traffic more quickly and get travelers on their way. As I said, the system has been installed. It will be ready for operation for the coming winter season. The system has been installed at 3 signalized intersections along the Trans-Canada Highway here in Revelstoke, so at Highway 23 North, Highway 23 South, and Victoria, and at 2 intersections in Golden, the intersections of Frontage Road West and Frontage Road East. Now, the third item I'm really excited to announce today, it relates to variable speed zones. Now, as you'll recall, along this section of Highway 1, weather conditions can change very quickly and very dramatically. It can change from rain to snow in a heartbeat. And this can make it quite difficult to gauge what speed a traveler should be traveling at. Now, as part of our rural and safety speed review that we did last year, we looked at how we could reduce the frequency of weather-related crashes and boost safety on our highways in the process. One of the ideas that was introduced to us, which we have embraced and we included in BC on the Move, relates to the introduction of new digital variable speed zone signs. These will be installed in 3 locations, one on the Coquihalla, one on the Sea to Sky Highway, and one here west of Revelstoke. These speed limit signs will enable the speed limit to be adjusted based on the conditions that exist at a particular time, thus helping to prevent taking drivers off guard or catching drivers off guard when those weather conditions actually do change. I'll show you that in a moment. There will be 20 variable speed zones installed along Highway 1 from Perry River to Revelstoke. Those signs will be installed by this fall. There will be a short testing period to ensure that they're fully operational under all weather conditions. The testing will help us to ensure that the system is effective and that it truly is as nimble as we believe it is. I should point out this is technology that's used in other parts of the world, and it is proven to be highly effective, and it does reduce collisions and save lives. Whether it's extremely cold, freezing rain, or heavy snowfall, the extensive system of sensors that will be installed in the road will be calibrated to detect the conditions that exist at that particular time and therefore make appropriate recommendations for speed limits. There will also be overhead message board signs at the entrance to each corridor to inform drivers that they're entering a variable speed zone and to be aware of changing weather conditions. The combined cost estimate for these 3 variable speed zones that I've just mentioned is $12.5 million, and this investment is part of our new $25 million per year roadside safety program, which is included in BC on the Move. So folks, in conclusion, BC has one of the most resilient economies in the country, if not the world, and transportation investments have been vital to our success to this point. We've invested over $17 billion since 2001 in transportation, all facets of transportation across British Columbia. BC on the Move is our plan to continue to address our transportation needs. BC on the Move is underpinned by $2.5 billion of investment in transportation investments like these we're announcing here today in just the next 3 years alone. We're rolling up our sleeves and going to work to improve the movement of goods to communities and market, to better connect people to services and jobs, and indeed to enhance access for our resource sectors, our tourism sectors, to generate international trading opportunities for all of us. BC on the Move is built on a foundation of priorities for action, and it sets us on a continued path of economic growth over the coming decade. I am so thrilled to be here with all of you today on such a gorgeous Revelstoke morning. Again, I thank you all for attending. It is my privilege to represent the hardworking men and women of Kamloops, South Thompson, and British Columbia's legislature, and it is my privilege to be here with all of you this morning. Thank you. So if I could ask the 2 mayors to join Greg and I, we're going to unveil this new variable speed zone the speed zone sign.
On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, Minister, hit enter.
Nice.
That's it. Oh. It changed. Yeah, it
So again, the 20 of these signs will be installed in this pilot zone that I mentioned a moment ago, from Perry River to Revelstoke, and through sensors in the road and some other related technology, the system advises or will advise our traffic management center centrally as to the local conditions, and will recommend an adjustment to the speed. The adjustment to the speed will only take place after an individual locally, a human, has actually confirmed that those conditions actually exist. So there's I think an important balance that's being struck with this technology, between the technology in and of itself and the need for a human being to actually still provide the final go-ahead. Once that go-ahead is provided, then our traffic management center will authorize the change, and then the change can be made, and it's as simple as pushing the button as I just did there. So that speed could be dialed down from 100 to 70 or 60, and then back up to 100 again. And I can confirm that the speed will not adjust upwards when the mayor is on his way, or approaching the variable speed zone signs. We'll just nip that question in the bud. Anyway, thank you very much, Greg. I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Minister, and thank you for making the investments in the Revelstoke through Golden corridor. This time I'd like to invite Mayor of Revelstoke, Mr. Mark McKee, to share with us a few words on how these improvements will be a benefit to the communities of Revelstoke.
Thanks. Thanks very much. First thing I'd like to do is I'd like to welcome Minister Stone and MLA Kylo, as well as the highway staff and RCMP staff to Revelstoke on such a great day and on such a great occasion. Revelstoke has a long history, just like a lot of communities on the Trans-Canada Highway, of being concerned about the condition of the highway and what happens to the traveling public. The work that has been announced and been done in the past, especially the past few years, is going to go a long way to increasing safety and mobility on the Trans-Canada Highway, just like the projects that are being announced today. That's our number one concern is safety for the traveling public and mobility. And nice to see these, especially the variable speed signs. The avalanche control will reduce the amount of road closures. It'll shorten the length of time for these road closures, and all these are good things. Our number one concern is preservation of human life and injuries, and we're still looking forward to the day that we have a 4-lane Trans-Canada Highway. But I think that today we are fortunate that we have a minister and a provincial government that understands the direction that we have to go. They're working towards it. These announcements today are successes that we have to celebrate, knowing that every day the Trans-Canada Highway gets safer. And again, I'd like to thank the Minister and MLA Kylo for coming to Revelstoke, showing the concern for the traveling public, the communities that are along the Trans-Canada Highway. I really feel that we're in good hands and the future is looking even better. Thank you.